أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the praise belongs to God, the Lord of all systems of knowledge, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the sole judge on the day of judgment. We worship you only and we turn to you begging assistance. Guide us on the straight way, the way of those on whom you bestowed blessings, not those who incur your wrath, nor those who go astray. Amen.
Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I bear witness that there is none worth worship besides Allah. I believe in all of Allah's prophets. I believe that Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him, is his last messenger and a mercy to all mankind. So, half the year is gone, and we have spent this year on more highlighting the work, the amazing work that's being done by so many in our community across this nation, as we have been in these last 2 months, highlighting the West Coast. I want to thank Sister Amatullah-Sabrie, who has been working very closely with me, and without her, I would not be able to have identified the powerful work that's being done on the West Coast. I want to open that invitation to any of you in regions that have not had the opportunity to share the work that you're doing in your region, your part of the country, the world here in North America. However, I do want to share that I've been thinking about what will Study Al-Islam do in 2025, and what's heavy on my heart in listening to all of you is to know more about the history of Islam and what we practice as what has been passed down from traditions, and what is authentic versus cultural. And so I have COVID, everybody, just so you know. I did catch it. I have a very mild case, but by Allah's mercy. But I've been thinking about it. And so in 2025, inshallah, with Allah's help, we're going to go back to the study of the Quran and Hadith intensely. And we're going to study it from a perspective of learning, why do we do the things we do? Where did it come from? Was it actually passed down from the Prophet, peace be upon him? But as our teachers on here could attest to, and I remember in grammar school being told something and passing it on, and by the time it got to the last person, it was completely distorted. And so we're going to dedicate some time to studying the Quran and the Hadith and the practices that we are now adopting or have adopted over the course of our journey and learning about Islam. So anyone on here listening right now, if you have dedicated any time to any particular subject, any particular hadith, any particular ritual that we do, that you can support with authentic information, please contact me at fitrah@msn.com, because we want to learn more about, are we actually practicing al-Islam according to the way the Quran revealed to Prophet Muhammad was intended? Or have we picked up cultural nuances and rituals from others, but we're just not aware of it? And the mercy is that I just read that Allah says He does not judge us on perfection. He judges us on sincerity. So that is a mercy from God. So let's move on. And because we have two sisters that are doing great work on the West Coast, and let's give them this time because they have been preparing a great PowerPoint for us. Sister Cheryl and Sister Amatullah, welcome to Study Al-Islam.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Fitrah, and our brothers and sisters with Study Al-Islam.
And so which one of you will be presenting first?
I'll just give a brief introduction because I really recognize Cheryl. And also, we have a third co-host, but he's not in the West Coast. But we want to acknowledge Brother Fleming El-Amin, who is the current president of American Coalition for Good Government. Cheryl and I are co-hosts with Brother Fleming on the AM 360 program, MAP 5, which is Muslim American Power 5. And this particular endeavor of ours with MAP 5 was the result of an invitation from Sister Latifa Amin to participate in a town hall that AM 360 had. And so our board from Like-Minded People for Social Justice and the Recognition of One Humanity, Cheryl and I are members of that board. We decided that it would be good for the purposes that our organization was set up to do a program on the AM 360 platform that would really ignite in the community more civic and political engagement. Now, Brother Fleming and Sister Cheryl are both individuals who have held public office. I haven't held public office. So for like-minded people, our objective or our purpose, our mission statement is to work for the recognition of our creation from God, the thing that we have in common, that all of us have in common, our humanity. And the reason that we initially came together is because it was right after the incident with George Floyd. And we wanted to look at dealing with the social unrest that we believe was a result of the rising tide of overt superiority, racial superiority that we found. So with Sister Latifa inviting me in November to participate with this town hall, I was with two brother imams who have really done a lot of good work in the interfaith space and also in working with elected officials. And that was Imam Mikhail Shabazz and at the time Imam Muhajid from Ramadan from Las Vegas, Nevada. So the town hall was very good. I reported back to our board and we said, okay, maybe we need to further the agenda that we had set. We were going to look at dealing with communication outlets besides Muslim Journal to get our message out, which was predominantly when we started out, we wanted to breathed new life into the CRADE message. Many of us who were a part of the founding board had been active in the CRADE initiative. Imam Abu Qadir al-Amin, Imam Ayman Abdul Mujib, they were founding board members. Both of them have returned to Allah. May Allah forgive them their sins and grant them the highest reward in paradise. And then there was also Imam Yahya Shabazz, who has since retired from the board. He's relocated to the Mississippi area. So we decided that we would pivot. We were looking at reigniting the CRADE movement. And through the research that our board members had done, we were looking at the negative effects, and Brother Khalid Shah addressed this last week. We collaborated with him and consulted with him at the tremendous amount of violence that was stemming from the rap music. So we wanted a way to be able to encourage people to deal with positive messages in their creative spaces. And to do that, we realized that being a young organization, that we have to build relationships in the community with political figures, with other community leaders, to be able eventually to get to our message as far as we need to really look at the culture and the negative effects of the culture that is having on our youth. So we came up with doing a collaboration with ACGG. Brother Fleming agreed that he would be a co-host, and Cheryl and I were designated from our board members to be co-hosts. The show appears, we broadcast every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And so it's myself, Sister Cheryl, and Brother Fleming, and we rotate. We have guests on that we have to discuss various areas in the civic and the political space. Allah has blessed us. We've had a state representative on. Last week we had technical difficulties, but we went ahead and we had Melissa Chowdhury, who is a congressional candidate, and she's up against Adam Smith, who has been very vocal, people may know, in Joe Biden stepping aside. He is about 90% funded by AIPAC, which is the Zionist arm that is very influential on our political figures in America today. So we had her on, and that was a very good program. We weren't able to do it on broadcast, but inshallah, we hope to get that uploaded so that the believers, especially in the Washington State area, will be able to listen to her and evaluate her as a candidate. Anyone who wants to listen to our program should call in to 515-605-9891. You can listen online at https://am360.org and press live. You see the information on the screen for those who are logged into the Zoom. And there's also a way for you to go back and look at episodes in the past through the streaming online, which is 24/7, and people can also leave comments. We had one participant last week that said, well, how come we don't know that much about MAP 5? And we're trying to get the word out to more people so that we can increase our listening audience, and Allah has blessed us, and we're appreciative for the blessing that Allah has given us in the quality of the guests that have come on. This coming Monday, we will Sister Cheryl will be hosting, and she will have Dr. Delara Saeed, who is the founder or co-founder of the Muslim Civic Coalition, which is doing great work throughout the country. They're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois, but they're really promoting civic and political engagement. And these are the kind of organizations that we want to continue to collaborate with and to gain information and to really push forward our agenda as believers. We have been having some technical difficulty with map 5. So if you call into the number that I gave and there's a problem, Blog Talk was sold at the beginning of the year. So there have been some kinks in the technical platform that they haven't been able to solve all the time. So sometimes we're not able to get on the AM360 platform. We use free conference call. And so you can call into 240-591-0209 and you enter the code 209075#. We'll put that in the chat so that people can have that. And also there is an online access that you can use also. Sister Cheryl is going to do the bulk of the heavy work in terms of our presentation today, because I'm deferring to her. She's an expert in this area, having navigated, I believe she's had 2, maybe 3 actual political campaigns. So she has been on the front line. My involvement has been really through the inspiration of the leadership of Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. For those who have been in the communities since Imam Muhammad in 1975 was determined to be the leader of the community, you know that we have had to undergo many, many, many shifts of our mindset. And this is why we, in the title of the program, we talked about civic engagement is really an inside job, meaning that you have to saw it from the inside and move out. We know that Imam Muhammad called us to a new world patriotism, and that requires us to have a new thought, a new intention. And so we hope that through the information that Sister Cheryl presents today, that all of us will be motivated, if you're already civically or politically engaged, to recommit, because we've been called to establish a new world patriotism and to remake the world. Those are big objectives that Imam Muhammad put out there for our community. The call to action that I'm going to make today to all of you, as you listen to the information, consider this. Check your voter registration with your Secretary of State or your County Board of Elections. If you're registered to vote, you're in good shape, but if you're not already registered to vote, register to vote. This varies from state to state, so it's important that you check either the Secretary of State or the Board of Elections in your county. Once you register or you find that you're already registered, you have to study the ballot for the election. There are some places that are still doing primaries. Washington State has a primary coming up in August. I was just talking with a sister this morning, just in Tennessee, she was voting in a primary, and then they're going to have another election in November. So you have to study the ballot, know what your dates for your elections are, whether it's a primary or the final election, and research the candidates that are listed on your ballot. We've seen recently that the judicial candidates are really, really important, because we see the Supreme Court has made some really significant rulings, and those are judges for the most part who have risen through the ranks. And then once you research the candidates, vote, 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 vote. You need to vote. If you're uncomfortable with the presidential and the vice presidential candidates, and we see that chaos has ensued as far as the Democrats are concerned, remember every candidate that's listed is important. Every position is important. Politics is local, especially you need to know who are your local candidates, what has been their history. So I'm going to pass the torch on to Sister Cheryl, who will give us more in-depth knowledge. I want to give a shout out to Brother Fleming and ACGG, also to Brother Jimmy Jimmy Salam with the Muslim League of Voters in New Jersey, who have been doing a great work in helping our community to be civically and politically involved. On the screen, I have the contact information for our organization, Like-Minded People for Social Justice. We'll put that in the chat, and I will pass the torch on to Sister Cheryl.
Gracias, Sister Amatullah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just heads up. If your volume is low, turn it up. I already have a low voice, but I'm also dealing with bronchitis this morning. So I would tell you to turn your volume as high up as you can get it so that you don't think something is happening to your computer. So turn it up so you can hear me. The information I'm going to give you is really important. I want to start, before I start the PowerPoint, I just want to say that we talk about change and progress and things like that as if it happens in this magical way. Like it's going to happen, it's going to occur by happenstance. But the fact is, it happens based on our actions every day. It's what we do each month, each day, each year, and it's cumulative. So when we talk about civic engagement, it's not what she's going to do or he's going to do or they are going to do, is what you're going to do. And it's what you're going to do in every single aspect of your life. And that is what affects change. And it's these motions, it's these actions that's going to push us forward to affect real change. So as you listen, not only today, but in all of these presentations that have been given these past few weeks, it has this cumulative effect. And it's the brevity of the moment that can really change our lives and the lives of others around us. So I want you to keep that in mind as we talk about this thing we call change, as we look in the back and we start thinking about who's going to do it, who's going to lead us. Let's get started. And please, as you sit and you listen, don't just sit and listen in the background. Listen with this intention and this want and desire to ask questions and be participatory at the end, because that's what this is. This is not us just speaking to you. So we are ready to get started. The thing about knowledge is this. Knowledge is this thing that helps us through life. Life is complicated. Yet most often, the most innovative and effective solutions come from the most unexpected places and spaces. We have these things that we need to do, and just keep it simple. Life is, sometimes the questions are so complicated, but the answers, they really are simple. As someone who has been a leader, I've had many years of leadership, and I have learned that if we focus on the things that matter, is in resolving the issues. So the best way to be civically engaged is to get to know the people, the issues, the needs, the region, the situations, the requirements, the budget, the priorities, the most mission critical projects and essential tasks, the contracts, the environment, the motivations and the hesitancies, the issues, the wins and the losses. Knowing the culture and the systems has been key. One of the major factors is to be able to assess the needs and determine the best fit for the input, and to identify the few key but critical steps to recommend changes, and to know whether those changes are going to be for process efficiency, reducing operational costs, improving interactions and experience for the community members. Then, once we know that, we can know who, what, when, why, and how. And we can focus on the big three things we need to make effective change. And that's usually the mindset, the skill set, the tool set to have the right people in the right places with the right skills, tools, knowledge to do the right things and with the right attitudes for the right reasons. And that is how we develop effective policies and practices that benefit the people. And the people is always have to be at the forefront. As my mom once told me and taught me when I was younger, tiene dos de esos y uno de eso. siempre tratar de utilizar las cosas que tiene dos demás a un menudo que el que solo tiene uno. In other palabras, in other words, I always try to listen and observe twice as much as I speak. And we train our community and our volunteers and any candidates to do the same. You listen. When we listen at every community town hall and every community interaction, you have to start the listening session. It's the only way to understand the community's concerns, the community's wants, the community's needs, and to develop a gap analysis. We listen not only to what is being said, yet also to what is not being said, to assist us in determining how best to serve community and develop policy. As someone who's an elected representative and an appointed representative on both the state and regional level, listening is how we build and strengthen our relationships with our community and with one another. While creating alliances with like-minded people, it is one of the hardest skills to learn and the most important to possess. Without listening to our community and each other, we cannot enact effective policies or establish a nation that reflects the will of the people. So, how do we accomplish this in a society that has been built on short attention spans and relying on microwave solutions? There's an old African proverb that says there's no way you can pour water into a basket and expect the water to remain. We get back to basics because education is key. Bad information, disinformation, lack of information, incorrect information, ignorance, pride, ego. We have to understand that those with the most benefit from those with the least. So if I have most, I have no incentive to educate you on the things that are holding you back, bringing you down, causing you suffering. It is better for me to keep letting you vote against your own interests because I continue to benefit. That's the way capitalism works. Somebody has to be on the bottom struggling for those on the top to prosper. To change this dynamic, we must get back to the basics of working in community and keeping it simple. We have to challenge ourselves. We have to listen. And we can't just listen to things that make us feel good. We have to listen to ideas and opinions that make us think. We have to observe. We have to do some introspection. We have to learn and unlearn. A little bit of history and an old tale. Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy? A republic if you can keep it. It's an old story. Mrs. Powell of Philadelphia reportedly asked this question to Benjamin Franklin, who had just taken part in the secret deliberation of the Constitutional Convention of 1787. And his response underscores what we as citizens of the United States have in maintaining this, what has been called the experiment of the United States of America. And this is the underpinnings of what we call civic engagement. Today's young adults are less engaged in civic and political activities than their predecessors were 30 years ago. One likely reason is that other aspects of young adulthood have also changed dramatically. So as a result, it's not surprising that voting and other forms of civic engagement are also being delayed. But what that does is that they lose political and civic influence and the opportunities to develop these skills and networking. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to run for office if you haven't honed these skills. Unfortunately, it is just not the young. Civic engagement has faded for decades on all Americans. So how do we reinvigorate this sense of civic engagement? And how do we make sure everyone understands that the importance of it? One of my favorite quotes is from German philosopher Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And he says that if I accept you as you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though you are capable of becoming, I help you become that. Too many of us walk around saying, I don't believe in politics. I don't want to participate in politics. But I will tell you that you don't have to be interested in politics. You don't have to participate, but I will tell you that you are going to be affected by politics one way or the other. And politics is interested in you. And your non-participation means someone is making the decisions for you. There's a saying that says, si no estás sentada a la mesa, no se pueda establecer las prioridades o no estás sentada a la mesa. Alguien se ordenada para usted. If you are not seated at the table, you cannot establish the priorities, or if you're not seated at the table, someone else is ordering for you, or you're on the menu. So, what do we do? What I've learned from many years of leadership is focusing on the things that matter will aid in resolving the issues. So, the best way to be civically engaged is to get people. And how we retrain and we unlearn and learn the things that are missing. And many people don't know that. So what I said before is we have to teach people where we want them to be, not where they are or where they think they are. So we're going to give them some skills to make sure they're educated, equipped, they have the ethical basis, encouraged, empowered, impassioned. I know how to spell, just for those who don't think I don't know that impassioned doesn't start with an E. And engaged. I call it the E7 concept. Let's talk civic engagement. There's 4 main constructs of civic engagement which work together to make a difference in the life of your community. Civic action or participation activities like volunteering or service learning to better the community. Civic commitment or civic duty, the willingness to make positive contributions to the community or society. Civic skills or the ability to be involved in civil society or politics or democracy. And social, which is like your sense of reciprocity, trust, or bonding with other people. Why does it matter? Because community voice and community engagement is the key to creating change. It's what strengthens a democracy. It also breeds that sense of personal empowerment on an individual level by helping people understand their connection to a greater society. When you unite under a shared purpose, you build trust and empathy and that human connection. And you have a strong support base for finding and implementing solutions in your community. And when you do it on your community level, it has a greater impact on a society level. Let's take a look at a case study. And I will tell you that I grew up in Missouri, so this one really kind of hit home for me. In St. Charles, Missouri, which is a suburb of North St. Louis County, there was a city council meeting. The Missouri Department of Transportation in January 21, they had a project to create these one-way roads in some St. Charles neighborhoods, which would potentially affect the local businesses and their property values. In August of 21, they had held a town hall community forum with Missouri Department of Transportation. And the officials and the state representatives, they listened directly to 100 community members. In December of 21, one of the state representatives organized this huge conference call with the Missouri Lieutenant Governor and the Deputy Commissioner for Missouri Department of Transportation to further discuss the road system project. Because of the input of all of those people in the town hall, in February of 22, the Missouri Department of Transportation abandoned that one-way project and accepted a bid from a construction company that would keep the two-way road. And according to the Department of Transportation, this is the first time that they've ever paused the project or redefined their goals because of community feedback from the residents, the business owners, and elected officials. Why is that important? Because community voice and community engagement is the key to creating change. Sister Amatullah mentioned earlier about a Muslim Civic Coalition, and we'll talk about them again in a few minutes. But those are the kind of changes that demonstrate community voice. I want to touch you about, in this next example, I'm going to touch you about this over a century-old organization in Mumbai, India. They're called the Dabawalas. And they had a situation where communities, these men centuries ago saw a need in their community. And they not only created a solution on a civic level, they created what has become known as one of the world's greatest corporate examples of reliable, not just community service, but corporate client services. Let's listen in.
Mumbai has over 18 million people. The city, it's unpredictable. But amidst this chaos, there is one thing that is nearly 100% reliable. It's your lunch delivery. The Dabawalas of Mumbai are an institution. A Dabawala is a guy who delivers homemade lunches.
मेरा नाम किरण गवांदे है और मैं डब्बावाला हूँ। बिजनेस में ज्वाइन किया और तब से मैं 12-13 साल से काम कर रहा हूँ। खाली बॉम्बे में हम रोजाना 2 लाख डब्बा पहुँचाने का काम, खाली साइकिल और ट्रेन, ये दोनों चीज़ों से मिलके डब्बा पहुँचाने का काम करते हैं।
This is how the system works. The Dabbawala comes to your home and picks up your lunch. He goes to the train station where all the other lunches are. They are sorted and then delivered out into the city to be dropped off at your office. You eat it, the Dabbawala comes, picks it up, and brings your lunchbox back home. That's the key word, home. These aren't takeout delivery guys. They're delivering you a meal straight from your kitchen. This system, while seemingly rudimentary, has been recognized as one of the most efficient logistics systems in the world. Dabbawalas have an accuracy of 99.99% in their deliveries. Per million transactions, less than 4 mistakes are made.
सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ होती है कि जिस डब्बे के ऊपर जो कोड होता है, कोड में क्या होता है कि मतलब कुछ आंकड़े डाले जाते हैं, कुछ कलर कॉम्बिनेशन होता है। गलती मतलब कि कोड डब्बे के ऊपर इतना परफेक्ट डाला हुआ है कि उससे गलती होने की कोई संभावना ही नहीं है।
Crisscrossing side streets on bikes, balancing trays that weigh almost 150 pounds on their head, this group of 5,000 men, they help define the city.
बॉम्बे में कम से कम उसको 125 साल हो गए। ये सिस्टम और किसी दूसरे जगह पे नहीं चालू। थोड़ा सा हार्डवर्क तो है, तो आदमी मतलब थोड़ा सा थकता है, लेकिन क्या वो अगले दिन वापस एक नए जोश से स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं।
These guys are out there 6 days a week, monsoon or shine. Life in Mumbai, it can be chaotic. Your train might be late, your power might go out, but damn it, your lunch will be on time.
They keep it simple. They've kept it simple. They have kept it simple. The thing about the Dabbawalas that made it such a logistical, beautiful thing is that they saw an issue and they solved it with a simple solution. So, what's civic engagement? Civic engagement is the ability to create a solution by, let's start with just being engaged in your community. Do you or have you served on the school board or PTA? Do you serve on a local state commission? Are you a member of or volunteer with a local charity? Do you read the newspaper or our quarterly newspaper from your municipality? Do you vote in local elections? Here's your first assignment. Have you served on a school board or PTA? Have you been a local official? Have you been on a state commission or a local commission? Have you been a commissioner? Put it in the chat if you have. I'm interested in seeing how many of you have been doing some of this work already in your community. Just let us know. Let's track you. Or are you running for election now? Are you interested in running for election? Put it in the chat. So let's see what who we have in the audience right now. Maybe not. You know, life comes at you fast and hard. You know, your family, work, and other obligations. And sometimes it's hard to find that time. Yet it's really important that you do, so that you can exercise your voice and your rights in the society. So what does civic engagement even mean? We hear this word all the time. The technical definition, and I've thrown on the screen, I'm not going to read it to you because I take it we can all read, but I will tell you this part, that it's a morally and civically responsible individual. They recognize that in himself or herself, that as a member of a larger social fabric, that when you consider social problems to be at least partly her or his own, that you're willing to see the moral and civic dimensions of issues and to make and justify informed moral and civic judgments and to take action when it's appropriate. That's what being civically engaged means. And there's lots of ways to get involved. Political participation through voting, voter registration, being an election judge, educating other people on government and history, volunteering, advocating for legislation, representing others by appointment or election, running for office. And so many other ways, mentoring, doing the work. Think about it. How do you want to move a needle on an issue? Is there an issue that you feel really strongly about? Consider how well you know your community, how well you know the issues. Is there something that's happening in your neighborhood that you feel really strongly about? Do your neighbors know you? Do you know your neighbors? Do you know the owners of the neighborhood shops and restaurants? Is there an issue at your children's school that you want to participate in or they want you to participate in? At the masjid, in your neighborhood? Do you know your local government? Have you met those who are in charge? Do you know who's in charge of making decisions? The commissions, the boards, and how they make those decisions. Do you know who's in charge of who runs for what office? Have you met them? Whether you're interested in being a national leader or getting involved in your state, leadership starts locally and it radiates out. So to expand your network and understand the local challenges, you need to know how your local government and how your city works. Have you interacted with your local elected officials? County supervisors, your city councilors or aldermen, trustees, school board members, utility board members, your special district, water boards. Have you investigated what structures in your town influence who runs for office or who makes the decisions? In some states, there's these self-appointed caucuses. Have you considered being an election judge or a census advisory committee person? Have you developed your financial acumen? Most people have no idea how city budgets are crafted. And part of being a leader at any level is developing a financial acumen and knowing where to focus your time and energy. Reviewing the finances of your city or town is a great focus for your policy circle. You have to know where the money is, where the money's coming in, and where the money's going. Have you looked at your state or your city's finances? Do you know the budget? The finances of even where you work or the nonprofit where you volunteer? Do you know how to read a P&L, profit and loss statement? Do you know the most vulnerable, in your community? The most vulnerable in the community are also likely to be the most overlooked. So caring for your neighbors in need and families in crisis in the community at large is the kind of work that's done on the ground. But it is also the key to being able to connect the dots and to foster these connections and make an impact. Part of this entails knowing and understanding the services that are provided.
to people with disabilities and veterans and immigrants, and those advocacy organizations that help people with mental health issues or who are living in impoverished conditions or houselessness or our youth or elderly. Do you know who those organizations are? Have you built a network of community influencers? Civic leaders are not lone riders. They've built this broad network of people with various expertise and focuses and backgrounds. They can demonstrate their abilities by assuming roles in networks related to their professions or their expertise, and then ensuring that these roles are properly filled. This involves knowing how to play a leadership role in your community. There's some real strong values that to be in civic engagement, you got to have the trust and respect of your community, and you have to trust and respect them. You're creating agency and power in people. It's always about the people. It's not about you. You got to nurture and foster healthier, stronger places to live, and you got to promote transparency and participation. People who are engaged in their community, they tend to be more interested and invested in that community, because the role is less about them and more about the community. What are the obstacles? Lack of civility, lack of attention to public affairs, lack of role models, lack of civic and political skill, and a lack of awareness. So why are we talking about it right now? Because this is what tends to happen. People have an overinflated view of how much they really know about civic engagement. That little white one, this is the things I know I know. These are the things I know is a light gray. This is what I think I know. But in reality, that black one, the things I don't know, is what keeps us from really understanding not just politics, but things, period. Only 21 states in the United States require end of course credit to graduate from high school. And that students who pass a test drawn from the 100 test items to become a U.S. citizen can't pass it. Do you know that only 39% of Americans can correctly name the 3 branches of government in the United States? It's appalling. Our civics education used to be a part of your basic education in middle and high school, and it is no longer that. But to be an effective citizen, a voter, and a member of our communities, we have to start providing students in our communities with a basic understanding of how the democratic process works. This is why you have people thinking that the president has all of these powers that they do not have. Why Congress has power that they do not have. We have a nation that has anemic civic health, and why the outcome of elections are the way that they are. We need to have a basic understanding of what our, not just our civic responsibility, but about civics in government on its basic level. I'm going to these ones are a little fun so that you can understand just how bad it is.
Now, if a Canadian like Pamela can answer all these questions correctly, shouldn't the average American, shouldn't people born here know that? Do we take our citizenship for granted? People work hard to become Americans. They study. I'm going to show you these are some of the actual 100 questions on the test. We went down to Universal Studios and we just asked people these questions to see if they could remain American citizens. Take a look. We're talking with
Debbie.
Debbie, where are you from?
South San Francisco.
South San Francisco. And you're a citizen of the United States?
I sure am.
Born here?
Sure was.
What country did we fight in the Revolutionary War?
France.
What does the Emancipation...
The Emancipation Proclamation.
No, the Emancipation Proclamation. What did it do?
I don't know.
You've heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Freed the slaves.
It did. Yes, that's what it did.
If the president and the vice president died, who would then become president?
The Secretary of State.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Jacob, what do you do?
I work in the financial services industry.
Financial services industry. United States citizen, are you?
Yes, sir.
In what month do we vote for president?
It's in the fall. Yeah. October, September.
Yeah. You work in the financial, I guess you're so busy with the finance.
Yeah, I'm really busy working.
And what special group advises the president?
Special group.
He meets with these people.
He meets. Yes, he does. Special group. His inner group.
Immigration, you want to take this man away, please? Linda, what do you do?
I'm a school teacher at Orange Center Elementary in Fresno,
Perfect.
California.
And you're a citizen of the United States,
Yes,
correct?
I am.
When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? Still awake?
Yes.
Who said, give me liberty or give me death?
Oh,
Well, that's very dramatic a portrayal. And, I like the
because I'm
hand.
not good with names. Only my own and my students.
Okay, well, you should, but that's, you can, now if a student said that to you, I'm not good with names, you would give them an F. Now, come on. Who said, give me liberty or give me death? I'll give you a hint.
Bonaparte?
Bonaparte? He's not even American. Where you from? It's now, if a Canadian...
I just want to show you just a little bit of that. It's I can't. Very quickly, how a bill becomes a law is also something that most people don't understand. They think that we have presidents who could just make things happen with a pen, even though presidents have some ability to sign things. There's a very complicated process to taking a bill from an idea to a law. And the founders made it that way. They made it complicated because there's potential bill death at every corner, to keep the checks and balances into the process. The preamble of the Constitution begins with "we the people," because the people are the keepers of the republic. Last couple ones, and that requires us to be actively involved on every level, federal, state, and local. The people hold the power. It doesn't matter about any of these titles, any of them. We, the people, are the ones that have to, when we elect candidates, when we put candidates up to offer, when we stand behind them, we must remember that it's not about the candidate, it is about the people. They are elected representatives. Forget their title. The real title is they are representative of the people. So it's imperative that we set and maintain the highest standards for ourselves as representatives and the representative themselves. We're not obligated to them, they're obligated to us. The same values that we expect of ourselves, we need to have unwavering values for those candidates. And the most important is character. We begin and end with integrity, honor, reliability, commitment to quality, and trust. And lastly, leadership is by example. Simple philosophy: listen with curiosity, speak with honesty, act with integrity. Courage, faith, and honor will stand when heroes fail. Together we can find a solution, or we will create one. Gracias for your time. Es todo.
Thank you, Sister Cheryl.
Yes, ma'am.
Fitrah, I know we're kind of tight on time, but if anyone has a question, maybe Sister Marsha can direct them to us.
Actually, I want to say, first of all, thank you to both of you. I think that I would definitely be deported along with those other people. I hate to say that, but I was trying to see if I had the answer to those questions, and God, my answers were even worse. I came up with some other people, but Allah knows best. This shows us what we need. And there is no doubt to both of you that we need more civic engagement, information, and encouragement and knowledge. I don't think there's any one's better than to provide this to our community than the two of you, along with Fleming. Fleming, we have given you sharing rights. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I can't leave you out. I do want you to have a last words, very short, because we are running out of time, but I couldn't leave you out as a third party. And so just introduce yourself very quickly.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Sister Fitrah, my sister Al-Islam. I just want to compliment our two presenters. They did a fantastic job. Just remember what Imam Muhammad told us about our obligation as citizens, and that we find in the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. Very simply put, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, endowed with, created with certain unalienable rights, and among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the essence of America. Let's do our part civically to make sure that happens for all of us. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Fleming, come back for a second.
Right.
Really disappeared too that quickly. And you are the president of
American Coalition for Good Government, established in 1997 by Imam Muhammad in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And for the purpose of?
For the purpose of engaging us with other organizations and establish ongoing relationships in a coalition basis to promote the best ideas of America, to be civically engaged and held responsible for our duties as citizens.
And so, inshallah, in 2025, I'm trying to encourage more programming on civic engagement, on Study Al-Islam. And so this is an open invitation to the three of you. I'm gonna work this out with Sister Amatullah, who has been just a gem in this community. Do we have any hands? Yes, Mahasan, please go ahead. We have 2 minutes. You have 1 second. No.
I had to unmute. Greetings to you, Sister Fitrah, and thank you for this forum. It's wonderful. Greetings to the panelists. My question was just what you just asked. What would be the plans or the recommendation of MAP 5 to provide or institute or encourage certification courses in all masjids in civic engagement and understanding about operations of government?
Just really quick, I was actually going to put it in the chat. Sister Amatullah and I talked about that, and Brother Fleming and I have been going back and forth. I really wanted to find out what would be the interest. My call to action is, what would be the interest in attending a civics engagement course or like a series of courses on civic engagement.
And then also Brother Fleming and I have also talked about we need to increase the number of masajid and Islamic centers that have a coordinator that can interact with ACGG, so that the whole nation is informed in what is going on with the different organizations that ACGG is making coalitions with and campaigns. Like Brother Fleming, he is on the road all the time with the Poor People's Campaign, not only just in North Carolina, but nationally with interfaith groups. So we need to get that information out and to get people in other locales to interact with what ACGG is doing. And we hope to promote more of that with MAP 5 and Like-Minded People for Social Justice. We're all about coalition building and establishing those relationships locally and nationally.
But I want to add the responsibility on the families, not so much on the masjids and the organization. If you have a young person who is interested in politics, get them connected with Brother Fleming. Get them connected on Study Al-Islam, and we will connect them. Because what we don't want to do is miss someone that may not be in the masjid. Everybody is not in the masjid.
Right.
And so the earth is a masjid. And I want to just say to the parents, you know your children. If you know that, if you recognize their leadership abilities, then let us help encourage them, give them the support that they need and the knowledge that they need in order to prepare them to be to get involved in the political system. There's no three better people than the three that you have right before you, so please, let's not, this is not the responsibility of the masjid. And I'm not taking anything away from the masjid. I'm just saying, you know your babies at home. You know your young people at home. Now they have a support system that can help encourage them. You don't have to do it. It takes a village to raise children, adults, our community. Yes, Cheryl.
I actually, when I leave here starting today, I do a 5-hour So You Want to Run for Office on Sundays. Yeah, I'm here in Contra Costa County, and I'm actually putting together one that'll be online. So I absolutely let me co-sign what you're saying. You know, when you see something in my daughter's the one who told me, when you see a talent in your child, I'm also a scientist, so I mentor young girls. I was in Philadelphia last week speaking at UPenn to girls and women in science. And so when you see someone with a talent, like I said, my daughter's the one who told me that it wasn't that she's a genius or anything. It's just that it was nurtured, right? We saw her talent in science. We saw her talent in gymnastics, and we nurtured it. So if you see something in your child, as Sister Fitrah was saying, if you don't nurture it, they're not getting the opportunity that someone else's child is getting because it was nurtured. So if you see that they're a leader, even if it's in Girl Scouts, you know, they sell the cookies well, so they're a good salesman person, right? Or you see them a leader in their basketball team or whatever it is, that leadership skill can be nurtured to be a leader somewhere else, not just in that particular instance. So send them to us. Let us talk to them.
And on that note, we're going to have to close. It's after 11 o'clock. But again, I do want to say, I want to reiterate what Cheryl just said. If they have any leadership abilities, we are here to support them. I just want everyone to know that the newsletter is going to be discontinued. You will not be receiving a newsletter, but you will, in its place, will be receiving a weekly, actually, you're going to receive it twice a week, a notice of the schedule of events on Study Al-Islam. So you'll be receiving it on Wednesday and then again on Saturday as a reminder. On Saturday, you will have the picture and bio of who the speaker will be so you can be familiar with them. And on Wednesday, you will get the monthly schedule of Study Al-Islam. What I'm trying to do is dedicate more time to the website. I will be going onto the website and updating a lot of the information, driving everyone to the website. We have a community directory where everybody who has been a speaker on Study Al-Islam is there for you to contact and know by categories. If you would like to have your bio and resume placed on Study Al-Islam, please send it to me at Study Al-Islam at fitrah@msn.com. And lastly, I do want you to know that we are planning in the month of August on preserving our history through community development and other means of preserving our history as Muslim African Americans in our community. So we're going to have several speakers that are going to share with you how they are preserving our history, so we can give you some support and encouragement and ideas on how to preserve our history as we move forward. and make these major contributions to community life and to the betterment and to the continuation of history in our community, documenting all of these things. Forgive me, I don't know how that happened. So with that said, let's close out Imam Omar, because it is over time. And inshallah, I'll see you guys next Sunday.
ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Oh God, let not our hearts deviate, now that you have guided us, but grant us mercy from thee. For you are the granters of bounties unmeasured. Amen.
Ameen. Imam Omar, we thank you so much for always being here with us every week to open and close for us. You are very dear to our hearts. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. See everyone next week. Inshallah.